What's up, everybody? I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a video journal today. It's a Sunday. It's a lazy Sunday for me. Was thinking about, where do drugs take you? What are some bad outcomes of abusing drugs and alcohol, for that matter? Well, I'll tell you a little something about myself. What drugs did for me. And don't get it twisted. There are those recreational drug users, and jealous of those ones. I mean, not really now, but back I used to be. The people that seem to use drugs just here and there, and never really compromise any of their ethics or morals, and don't lose jobs and relationships and get incarcerated and end up homeless and all that stuff, which is what drugs do for me, and alcohol as well. There was, when I look at like my teenage years growing up, I smoked a lot of pot. I definitely drank way more than I should have been. At a young age, I was kind of into some things that most people at that age weren't. It was more like criminal activity, though. I wasn't like really into hard drugs or anything, but I was involved in some criminal activity that wasn't the norm for, say, a 14, 15, 16-year-old. But beyond that, yeah, I was smoking a lot of weed, drinking a lot, partying a lot, all that. And as I got into my upper teens, like I said, I was kind of living a criminal lifestyle, so I got kicked out of my house at an early age, before I'd even graduated high school. And I was making my own money and thought I had the world figured out. And I was popping a lot of prescription pills, mainly your opiates, with a little bit of benzos, Xanax and Clozapines and stuff, but mainly it was opiates and a lot of alcohol. I definitely didn't think I was any type of substance abuser or had any issue, because I was young and had my own place, my own cars, did everything for myself, went on vacations, etc. So you weren't going to convince me that I had any type of substance abuse problem. I went through some pretty messed up things that eventually led to me getting down on heroin. And I'm sure you know where this goes. Unfortunately, I didn't then. I was foolish enough and naive enough and cocky enough, that being the main one, to think that I would never be a junkie per se. But I was dead wrong about that. And I want to say for like the first year, maybe a little less, I don't know, maybe a little less, a little more, I was somewhat maintaining. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed it. I thought I had found this little secret antidote that normal, regular people just either didn't know about or were too scared to take it on. But what I mean is I didn't have to be depressed. I didn't have to have anxiety. I didn't have to have fear. I didn't have to have sadness. I didn't have to have physical pain. All those things I didn't have to experience, because I had the antidote, heroin. And through heroin, all things were possible. Or so I thought. And in a way, all things were possible, but not in a good way. But yeah, somewhere around that year marker, things started to go downhill real quick. And especially once I got on the needle, once I got on the rig. I don't think I'm going to do like a play-by-play, just full like story here. But essentially, started getting, and I had some run-ins with the law before, my heroin use. But once I became a full-out junkie, and that was another thing too, like I hated the term junkie in the beginning, or dope fiend. But eventually I came to the realization that, bro, that's exactly what you are, bro. You're a junkie, you're a dope fiend. You fiend for dope every day. Dope comes before everything. My day doesn't start till I do that dope. I cook my breakfast in a spoon. I also realized eventually that, you know, I couldn't make lines in the sand. You know, there's all those, some people refer to them as not yets. And if you're early in your drug use, I'm sure you are delusional right now. You know, and I mean that the best I can. You know, you may think that you may not do this, you may not do that. You'll get control over it before it goes too far. Maybe you will. Some people do. But I know a whole lot of people who haven't and did not. And a great many of them are dead now. It's a serious game. You know, especially when you're talking about intravenous drug use. I mean, how much more high-risk lifestyle could a human being have? I mean, you think about all these various occupations that are dangerous. Being active duty military in a war zone. That's pretty dangerous, I would suspect. Being a police officer, especially in an urban city like the city I'm from, St. Louis City, can be a dangerous city. Crab fishermen, working on cell phone towers, all that stuff is pretty dangerous. But when you're talking about an intravenous drug user, like we're literally buying something off the street, putting into a syringe and directing it straight to our hearts, multiple times a day, every day, as often as we can, unfortunately. I mean, I just couldn't. Could you imagine going in to try and get life insurance, and they're like, oh, you know, what kind of lifestyle you live? You got any high-risk things about your life? Well, I'm an intravenous drug user. Yeah, no, I don't think we can offer you a plan, you know? I mean, damn, it just doesn't get any more dangerous than that. Every shot, man, every time you push that, it's a roll of the dice. It's Russian roulette to the fullest. I'm grateful to still be alive. I don't know how. I really don't. But yeah, you know, there was a point where I was like, you know, I'll never steal from family members and friends. I did that. You know, I was always like, you know, before I was like just a criminal and not a criminal dope fiend. You know, there were definitely crimes that I just wasn't gonna commit because the risk versus reward wasn't there. You know, I always looked at cats that like rob gas stations. It's like, F are you doing, man? Like, you know, what can you get from a gas station? You know what I'm saying? A few $100 versus an ACA, you know, armed criminal action or something, get you 6, 10, 12 years. Like, man, I don't know about that one. You know, as I got more strung out, I didn't really adhere to that risk versus reward as well as I had and as I should have. I burnt a lot of bridges. Ruined a relationship with my son at the time. We're a whole lot better now. I mean, he's still young, thank God. You know, but I wasn't around when I should have been. We're selfish SOBs, you know. We want a whole lot from other people, and we don't offer up nothing but heartbreak. It's just a fact. You know, obviously, like I said, my drug use led me to being locked up fairly often, which obviously I'm not being a father. You know, a real man, you know, being a real man is so much harder. You know, being a family man is so much harder. You know, because a real man, you know, like I look at my father. My father, he was what I thought was a real man. You know, and you gotta always put first what's the best scenario for your family and for your woman. You know, you should be providing for them and protecting them, and you're not doing that if you're locked up. Matter of fact, more times than not, when you get locked up, you're being a financial and emotional burden on them. That ain't manly, bro. That just isn't. It's nothing cool, you know. And then eventually I became homeless. You know, first it started off with like, you know, you might do that couch surfing and staying at some of your partner's houses and maybe some gals' houses or whatever, and then you might steal from them, or you know, you bring dope up in their house, or maybe there are other dope fiends and their living situation is exactly stable. Maybe they just plain on get tired of a grown ass man who's not helping around the house and on any type of level, just kind of hanging out. So them scenarios never last. At least they never did for me. You know, I never had that A class enabler. It was like, hey, you can stay here as long as you want. You can get high. You can not work. You can be ducking and dodging the police. You know, running in the front door, running out the back, and all that stuff. Nah, I never had one of them. You know, if you ain't gonna get your shit together, you gotta go. You gotta go, bro. Sorry, love you, but you gotta go. And so eventually, there was no other couches left for me to stay on, and I ended up sleeping on the streets in St. Louis City, Missouri, which is a dangerous city. It really is. I mean, most major cities can be dangerous, but it's definitely a dangerous city. It gets really cold in the wintertime, gets really hot in the summertime. It's just it's a brutal setup. I mean, you know, there's people stabbing people for their dope while they're sleeping in their little wherever they choose to kind of sleep at. There's people running up on you with malice intent for whatever reason. There's mentally ill people that you just bam spaz out on you. I mean, there's a gauntlet of things you got to travel through being homeless in this city, and I imagine that's the case across the country, across the world, for that matter. You know, there were many nights sitting. It's like 2 degrees outside. I'm sleeping on the side of the building. There's snow falling. I've got nobody. I'm by myself, and I'm thinking, damn, wow, I would have never put myself here. Years ago, if you'd have said, hey bro, check this out, you're going to end up sleeping on the side of a building in January. I just said, you're out your mind. There's no way. That'll never be me. That's not me. It's not going to be me. It was me. It was me, dude. It was me. That was low. You know, I used to fly the little signs on the side of the highway and stuff. You know, asking hard-working people to give me their money. You know, hey, I choose to drink alcohol and shoot dope. I don't work. You know, can I have some of your money? And for a proud person like me, that was demoralizing, demanning, if that's a word. It was rough. You know, people too. And all I could do was laugh at it when people do some messed up stuff too. There was one time flying my little sign, and a dude pulls up on me and he says, hey man, you hungry, bro? I was like, yeah, man, you know, I could eat. And he said, I got you, man. And he hands me this bag. And as he hands it to me, you know, I just do the, hey, thanks a lot, man, I appreciate it, God bless. And he had got the green light, so he's moving on. And as I kind of turn around, I look down, it's like a 5 pound bag of bird feed, like you feed a pet bird. You know, and I laughed it off, but I mean, still, that was messed up, man. That was messed up, especially where I came from. I was this little mini baller in my early 20s, thought I was doing it big, you know. And on some levels I kind of was, but and then here I was, you know, getting tossed a 5 pound bag of bird seed. You know, messed up thing is I wonder how much I can buy this off me. You know, have people spit at you, throw stuff at you, call you names, tell you they don't think you're homeless, that you're faking like I'm really living in a $500,000 house and I'm just, you know, flying this sign because there's so much money in it, you know. Which I'm here to tell you, when you are a like 30-something, able-bodied white dude, you do not make much money out there flying signs. Nah, not happened. But that was low, man, and that's where drugs and alcohol can take you when you abuse them. I mean, the women side of things, damn, man, damn. I've seen some beautiful, good women get taken down through there, and this is not a joke. It's nothing to laugh at, you know. You know, a lot of people got caught up in these lifestyles that their addictions and their alcoholism took them to, and ended up not being able to live with it and taking their own lives, even in sobriety. You know, because then, especially then, because you got to deal with all that sober, and there's so much regret, guilt, and shame You know, I mean, I can laugh about some of it, but don't get it messed up. I mean, I regret it, and it's shameful. Um, and what can I do about it now? I can't dwell on it, which I'm big on dwelling on stuff, but I try not to anymore. But drugs and alcohol will take you there. You will get legal problems. You will burn relationships with people. And if you're kind of like I said, in that beginning stage of using, check yourself. I'm telling you, don't think that it won't get you. I don't care who you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what creed you are. You know, I don't care what religion you follow. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're man or female or all the little things in between there. I don't care if you come from a wealthy household or a poverty level household or anywhere in between. Drugs and alcohol addiction will take you down. It will take you through there, and you will give up everything gladly to keep it going. Everything. Relationship with your family, your kids, your freedom, just to keep it going, just to be staying high and staying drunk. It's insanity at its definition, at its core. It makes no logical sense. And the majority of people I know in the stuff or that used to be in the stuff are not dumb people. I don't consider myself a dumb people. I mean, I'm not a freaking genius, but I'm not dumb. But yet all the decisions I were making were reflecting just that. They're reflecting insanity. Going against self-preservation, you know, giving up everything. You know, I was a heroin addict, so giving up everything for a little warm, fuzzy hug feeling that might last a few minutes if I'm lucky, and then back onto the grind go against my moral, to compromise my morals and values to get that little warm, fuzzy hug for a few minutes again. It's a never-ending grind. You know, every day you wake up, you got to feed that beast. How can I make it happen? And as you burn more bridges and your resources get more strained, you get more desperate, which means you start doing things that you would have said you never would have did, you know? Unless, of course, one of them people who have great enablers. They're just going to like hand you money, give you a roof to stay under, that you know, whatever. For a lot of us, that wasn't the case. It was for a little bit, but most people are going to get tired of that. You know, people have lives to live. They have their own problems, their own issues, their own financial responsibilities, their own families, and they can't just sit there and keep dishing you out support, however that may look, you know, when you're not trying to better yourself. You know, I wasn't there for a lot of things I should have been for my son. That's horrible. I can't go back in time and change it either. Drugs and alcohol, you know, if you become an addict and an alcoholic, it's going to take everything from you. Dope, whatever your dope is, I know like for heroin, for me, it hasn't lost a match yet. You know? And it can wait. You know what I'm saying? It can tear you down day by day, month by month, or year by year, but it will get you. It will. It doesn't lose. You know, it takes people's lives. It is like a true parasite, you know? Drug addiction and alcoholism will feed itself and suck everything from you until there's just nothing left it can sustain itself with. It'll snuff you out. Die of OD, die of some other alcohol or drug-related death, suicide. I've seen it time and time again. There's so many good people, man. So many good men and women and kids that have died to this stuff that just didn't have to. It's insanity. I don't know, stuff was on my mind today. Like the insanity of drug and alcohol addiction and where you will go and the lengths you will go to keep it going. You know, I mean, me living out on the streets, living on the side of buildings at 2-degree weather, -0 weather, you know, all for what? To get high, to get drunk? That's insane. It's crazy, but I did it, and a lot of people are doing it as we sit here right now. And a lot more people will get into it. So if you're in the beginning stages of it, please don't fool yourself. Maybe you still have a job, maybe you still have a roof over your head, Maybe you have a little bit of this and that. It's gonna take it all. It will, unless you make some changes. It's just how it works. It's a parasite. It has to. It has to keep sucking to keep growing. You have to shrink for it to grow. Don't think you're that special person like I did. Don't think you're that individual is just so strong and so cool and it's not gonna do it to you, because it will. And I'm not saying I wanted to. I'm just telling you how it goes. If I could go back in time and not think foolishly like I did and stop it back then, that would be awesome. I can't, but that would be great. Because I was naive and I was cocky and I was wrong. I was dead wrong. But now I'm doing a lot better. I'm not a perfect person. Never will be. But for the most part, put my family first, put my son first, put my kids first, put my gal first. You know, I'm not out doing stuff out in these streets. I'm not worried about people that are talking crap on me and chasing them down, like all the little kid stuff. Dead that. As a man, your number one responsibility is to be here for your gal and your children. Whatever that looks like. Can't be for them dead, and you can't be for them locked up. It's not a good look. And I know a lot about wearing bad looks, because I wore a lot of them. It wasn't pretty. No, it was pretty. It was kind of a ramble, but I was thinking about that. You know, the insanity of active alcoholism and drug addiction. It will take everything it can from you. You will have no vehicle, you will have no job, you will have no career, you will have no relationship with your children, with your family members, with your friends. You will have no future in that moment, at least. You will have no future but Groundhog Day. Every day is the same, chasing the high every day. Just slowly killing yourself for nothing. For nothing. It just all seems, looking back on it, it all seems so not worth it. Those years that I wasted living like that, I could be a lot further ahead in my life right now had I not spent all those years focused in with all that energy, focused in on obtaining a superficial physical feeling. So, if you are an alcoholic or an addict, or you think you might be, which normally, I'm just saying, if you think you might be, you probably know the answer to that. Don't draw lines in the sand. Don't be foolish enough to think that you won't do this and you're not gonna do that. Those are just not yets. You haven't done them yet. Or you can keep pushing it. But in the end, is it worth it anyways? You know? We weren't meant to live that way. We weren't. Anyways, let's keep our hearts and our minds congruent. Don't let your mind talk your heart into something you know is bullshit. It likes to do that. Stay good.